past like your mid-20s, your testosterone levels start to decline in both men and women. And testosterone plays a critical role of not only your metabolic function and a lot of like the physical functions of your body, but also in your mental. How you been?
Yeah, been doing good, brother. How are you?
Good. Good. You know, I'm happy. Things are weird right now, but I'm happy, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're I think you're now fully out of the keyboard realm, right? That's a closed chapter.
Yeah, I ended up having to, well, this isn't part of the podcast, right?
Oh, it was. We can certainly
Oh,
start fresh.
no, that's fine. I didn't want to go too deep into my personal life, but yes, completely done with keyboards. Um, it's just right now I'm kind of doing I'm messing around in the telehealth space, trying to kind of find my footing, decide how I want to run my business because there's so many different avenues to pursue.
Okay.
And then I started kind of have like a little hobby business right now. I'm a events promoter. I'm throwing in my first concert in June.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, big departure from what I was doing before.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't know if it is really because like ever since I've known you, you've always been this super driven, entrepreneurial minded, like, hey, I'm gonna accomplish anything I set my mind to type of person. So I feel like that's, this is just another outlet for the same sort of part of you that's really coming out.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, it's funny is like through my business career, I found myself on two sides of a coin. On one side of the coin, I find myself working in an industry where I really understand it and it's a great opportunity for me to earn and make a living. And then the other side of it, I find industries where I really enjoy it and it gives me a creative outlet. And when that's what the keyboard thing was. It wasn't ever meant to be my bread and butter of my earnings. And because it was something I was passionate about, I think is what led to its success. So that's kind of where I find myself at now. Like when I started the keyboard business, I had a pretty successful insurance business that paid the bills and made me a living, and it got my feet wet as an entrepreneur. I didn't enjoy it though. I literally made a living arguing with people. It was a terrible way to live, but I really understood it. Like I knew all the ins and outs of it. I was really well educated on the topics, and I knew how to navigate the industry. Then I started doing the keyboard thing as a hobby, just to kind of like meet the needs of my creative hunger. And then that you saw what happened with that. I mean, we worked together. The business got gigantic. I mean, we were globally known. I mean, we had celebrities talking about our brand. We were doing some pretty cool stuff. And now here I am. I find myself in the same position. Like I'm working in the telehealth space. I'm trying to help people feel better and find new ways to improve their overall wellness and their lifestyle and their health through medicine that their doctors might not be fully aware of. I really know the industry really well. I find a lot of joy in helping people, but my heart and my head aren't totally in it. I don't have like a creative outlet there. It's just more science-based stuff. There's not a lot of creativity involved. But when I find myself working with these bands and these musicians and finding new ways to promote them or get people excited about them, that's where I start getting like the goosebumps and I can't sleep at night. And I'll jump out of bed at 1 a.m. and run downstairs and grab my laptop and start jamming out ideas, and it just fills me with life.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really important point too, and that like recognizing what lights you up and doing more of that, and not just pigeonholing yourself into this thing that you said, hey, I'm going to do it. So now I just have to like suffer through the next 30, 40 years of doing this every day and then call it a life. Whereas like figuring out what really lights you up and then finding a way to turn that into a revenue source.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, there's also like I tread with caution with that. I mean, all throughout my life, I found myself, with hobbies. Like just a great example, when I was in high school, I really enjoyed working on my car. Like me and the kids in my neighborhood, like, we'd, you'd change your oil or you do your brake job, whatever. Like, oh man, we'll undertake something big. We're going to change the exhaust manifold gaskets or something like that. So I thought, well, I got this job working in an auto repair shop, thinking like, well, I enjoy this stuff, so why not make money doing it? And after I stopped working there, I don't think I've turned a wrench since, unless I'm like forced to. It just made me hate it so quickly. So it's like you kind of got to err with caution when turning hobbies into your career. But at the same time, if you do it correctly and you choose the right thing, that was, I guess, maybe a bad example, but was a true example. With the music thing, like I don't know how I'm going to make money doing it yet. I haven't figured that out yet. That's kind of the important part. But I know is that right now what I'm doing with it, it's filling my thirst for just a creative outlet and something to do on the weekends with my spare time. I don't really watch television much. I don't enjoy it. It just bores me. I feel like it's like sleeping while you're awake, and I don't really try to do it often. So if I can fill my spare time with things like this, which is what I've been doing lately, it makes me really happy. So as soon as I can find a way to make money doing it, that's when it's going to get interesting.
Yes. Well, I have no doubt that you will, and I think that's one of the lessons that I've seen you exemplify so well, is that you'd really just dive in headfirst into a thing that you enjoy, and because you care so deeply about it, the quality level of your output is high, and then people just want to pay you for that because there's that exchange of value, right? Where you are putting effort and time into something, they're getting something in return, and it's like, hey, I'm going to pay you just because I would be foolish not to, the amount that I'm getting in return. So yeah, I think that, like, the point you bring up there about how it's really a fine line to walk. Like, if you start taking a passion, turning wrenches, working on cars, and it becomes something that you're doing strictly for the dollar value, not for the fun part,
Yeah.
then it can burn you out really quick. Right? So
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that's that really careful spot you got to be, where you're really just pursuing something for the love of the thing,
Right.
not necessarily the dollar that it comes as a result of it.
Yeah, and as we sit here and discuss it, I think more into it, and it's like the example of working on cars. Like, sure, it's fun, and I'm sure a lot of people it's a hobby for a lot of people. I know a lot of people who it's still a hobby for them. I think what's weird there, though, the difference between that and the other two examples, though, is that with the keyboard thing, it was a job, sure, but I wasn't just doing the same thing that everyone's been doing already. I was creating an industry, and I was changing the way people do things or view things or perceive them. So it's like I was kind of like shaking up an industry and making it more appealing to more people, making it more accessible to more people, so that other people could enjoy what I enjoyed about it. Where with the wrenching thing, that really doesn't come to fruition. And that's where I'm trying to kind of do the same thing with the music. Is it's like we all go to concerts. I mean, who doesn't go to concerts? And you want to see like a band that you really love, and you got to pay so much money to get some seats. And then other times you go to like maybe you might get lucky and you find out about a cool like up and coming local band, and you go to see them, and they're playing their hearts out. They're playing with passion. They're fighting for their lives, so to speak. So you get a lot of energy on stage. You get a wonderful performance, but then it's in a dingy, crappy venue, and the promoter doesn't give a shit about. Excuse my language. The promoter doesn't give a damn about whether you're having a good time or not, whether you're comfortable or not, whether the sound is right. The bar is very low, is what I've been seeing in this industry.
Yeah.
And coming in there and trying to find a new way to do this is kind of what my goal is, so that maybe you're not used to going to like local venue shows, make it more accessible, more appealing, more enjoyable for people who aren't aware of it, so they can go and have the same experience that I'm getting and the same enjoyment that I'm pulling from it. That's where I'm trying to put my focus on.
Yeah, which makes sense. And I think it's like a mentality of, rising tide lifts all boats is what I'm seeing from you. Is it's not just like doing the car thing. Hey, there's a very simple transaction. This is broken. Go fix it. There's no net benefit other than just it works again. But I think that would
Right.
be very different if you decided to design a car from scratch to fix some need in the
Yeah,
marketplace, or to put some limit. I think that sort of thing, would be the type of thing that keeps you up at night and jumps you out of bed in the morning.
exactly. Yeah, I have to be. I guess I'm a shaker. That's just what I am when it comes down to it. It's like
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize too that like not everybody likes what I like, and that's fine. I mean, I went around life, and I've had this conversation with you a bunch of times because you helped me out with marketing, where I struggle because, and I think maybe everyone's kind of a guilty of this from time to time, is that when you try to put yourself in other people's shoes in a big broad way, you tend to kind of default to thinking that everybody thinks like you. You
Right.
assume that they're going to react the same way that you will, or that they'll um, enjoy things the same way that you will, or that they can understand things, explain the same way that it works for you. And coming out of your shell and coming to the realization that that's not the case most of the time. Everybody's different. Everybody has different tastes. Everyone has a different way to do a math problem, or what do they say, skin a cat, which is, I don't know why anyone would do that. But just, example wise. But as soon as you get, I've been able to kind of pull my head out of that and realize that there's a different angle to everything, and really try to live my life keeping my mind open about that. It's helped me a lot, and you've helped me a lot with that too, with a lot of our conversations. You're a pretty wise guy, man.
Hey, thank you. It's honestly a lot of, I think there's a lot of similarity there. And I don't say this to pat myself on the back at all, but I think it has a lot to do with sitting down for conversations like these and listening to the other person, right? So it's humbling yourself to say, hey, I don't know everything. Being willing to surround yourself with people who have different life experiences. And it's helped me for sure. And that's what this whole podcast really is just me documenting my journey of listening to people smarter than me on a certain topic. But even the same thing I think in business is true, that if you're willing to just shut up and listen to your audience, and obviously there's got to be some level of limit there, because right, what did they say? If Henry Ford asked people what they wanted, they would have said that they wanted a faster horse. Like, there's got to be a limit at a certain point where you need to say, hey, this is the direction we're moving, but I still want to humble myself enough to listen to what you guys really want and what makes you feel loved, appreciated, seen, and heard as part of this. Because, hey, if the audience isn't coming with you, then what do you got, right? You've got no product, you've got no service. You need them to be a part of the whole process.
It's just another easy trap to fall in. I mean, my wife owns a hair salon, and she's extremely passionate about it. But I call her out on this a lot, is that anytime anyone brings up a grievance to her or a small issue, she takes it so personally, and she spends a lot of emotional energy and just time trying to solve it for that person. And sometimes I'll look back, because I'm from the outside looking in, and I'm watching her deal with this, I can't think of any great examples right off the top of my head, but they're always like something kind of minor. She'll spend the whole weekend worrying about it and then asking me to help her implement some kind of fix. And one day I made a comment. I was like, the person who commented on this probably hasn't even paid it a second thought since they said it, because people just spit out their thoughts without really even and you just took it so to heart that we spent the whole weekend fixing this one thing that no one's even going to notice. I love that about it. I love the passion she has for making everything right. But that's another one of those life lessons, like you were just saying, is that yes, you have to listen to your audience, and yes, you have to pay attention to how they're reacting, because everyone thinks a little bit differently. But at the same time, you can't take every little thing to heart and make it like the focus of what you're trying to pursue or improve. Like, you have to just kind of look at it in a granular sense and say, okay, we can move on from this. This isn't really that important. We'll be aware of it, but we're not going to drop what we're doing to solve this right now. We're going to keep staying the course to the overall goal.
Yeah, I'm curious, since you bring that up, how that translates into the relationship side of things between you and your wife, with regard to, like, hey, both of you are very entrepreneurial driven. Both got your own thing going on. Like, for most people, I think that would be a really big point of contention, where, hey, you each have your own separate thing, which is very time consuming and energy consuming. And, especially when you start doing it together in some regard, I think you can kind of bang heads, right? So how do you really juggle keeping work and life separate, or is that something you even do?
I mean, it's been tough. I mean, we've owned the salon since 2018, so it's, I think we're going into our 7th or 8th year. And I've been an entrepreneur a little longer than that. So there was some bumps in the road earlier on. I mean, there was days where, I think let me back up a second. One thing that I think is important, it's like from a marriage standpoint, is that men and women think very differently. And I'm not saying this like, I don't want to open up the can of, like, let's be real. Most of the time women like to talk about problems and talk about their feelings about the problems and have you listen to them and just be heard, where men, I'm not saying all of them, but I mean, at least me, when I hear a problem, I'm immediately, before you're even done with your sentence, I'm already figuring out how to solve this problem. And I just want to fix it. It's like, I want to talk about it. I want to fix it. So coming to that realization, and I think it took some therapy actually for me, like a counselor, that helped a lot, because now I know, like, when Lauren comes home from a hard day and she has a difficult situation with whether it's a client or the staff or whatever it might be, I I sit back and I listen and I let her just talk and I like kind of try to read her body language a little bit and understand where she's at. And then I ask her, I'll just ask her, say, do you want me to just listen and let you vent, or do you want me to help you solve this? And just that little change in my reaction has gone a super long way with her. So now it's like we can kind of sit back. She knows that I'm like I'm here for her and I can like let her vent and get this out of her system. But other times too, it'll kind of carry over into the evening hours or the weekends, and it's like I don't want to talk about work. I want to go in the backyard and just like do some fart around, go for a walk, play with the kids, whatever. And before I'd say, hey, listen, I don't want to talk about this anymore, she would get upset and, she wouldn't like explode or anything like that, but I could just tell by the rest of the day by her mood that she was kind of upset that I didn't want to listen. But that's another thing where I think she grew a lot in the relationship is that she knows when I've had my limit and she knows to back off. And it's like we've really grown together as a couple. Marriage is hard, man. It's like, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's like you play a video game and it's easy. It's no, how fun is that? You play a video game and it's challenging and you figure out how to play it over the years, you get better at it, then it's satisfying. And like that's what a real relationship is. It shouldn't be easy. It's got to be work, and it's got to takes work from both sides. And when they both put it in, it can be a wonderful thing. And I'm blessed to have that.
Yeah. Well, I think even, to continue that analogy, it's also, it gets harder on every level, right? Every next level is a little bit harder than the level before because each of, you're supposed to grow. You're supposed to get better. You're supposed to like increase your skill level. And I think you see the same thing in marriage. You see the same thing in being a parent and being a business owner. Like as you continue each of those journeys, and I think that there are a lot of similarities among all three, you have to develop as a character, as a person, to be able to compete at the higher level. And if not, that's when the stress and the drama and the chaos really comes in and kind of takes over.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing the work that you need to do to really develop personally. I think there's a lot of personal accountability. And, for you specifically, one of the reasons why I even want to have this conversation with you personally, because you're not, just for context purposes, you're not a random person who I happen to find who has a skill set in an area. You're a person I know in real life who I've spent a lot of time with. And I can see the fruit in your life, right? I can see your businesses. I can see your marriage. I can see the way that you are with your kids. I can see how you carry yourself as a man. And you can't necessarily fake that for that long to really it's evident to me, having spent this much time with you as a person, man to man, that you've done the work and continue to do the work to be the next best version of yourself, right? So before we go further, incredible honor to you to just go through that work, because it's not easy, right? And when we don't often celebrate that enough, I think, especially as men, it almost feels weird to celebrate another dude doing something like that. But I want you to hear it from me here, how much I appreciate you being another example of walking that out every day, because I know it's not easy.
Thank you.
But how many people are witnessing that, from your kids to your customers to the people that work for you? Like the ripple effect of that is huge, right? So is that something that you pay a lot of attention to, or is it like a conscious effort on your part, or is that something that you had to really develop?
Well, thank you. That's a really nice compliment. And I'm in like kind of a funk lately, so it's really nice to hear some words like that. It makes me feel really good. It's like someone told me a long time ago, like the things in life that are really truly important can't be taken away from you. So like I'm struggling with some things in business and my life in general, and the things that don't matter are being taken away. But like at my core, I'm still who I am. And I wasn't always this way. When I was younger, I was pretty mean. I didn't have a really easy time making friends when I was in school. I don't know what caused me to want to be this way. I feel like it's just, there's always some room for improvement. And I don't beat myself up saying, I need to be better. I need to be better. I just always try to understand things better. I think it was like, you ever watched that? Was it called Ted Lasso on Apple TV?
I'm familiar with it, but I've never seen it.
I know I said I wasn't a big TV fan, but like we were on a vacation and my friend put it, he's like, you got to check out the show. It's so good. And we watched it and I fell in love. It was a really, really heartwarming television series. And there's this one scene where Ted Lasso is like playing darts and he's talking about the difference between being judgmental and being curious. And when he put it into the words that he did, if anyone knows this, the dartboard scene, it's a really good scene. It's on, they make memes out of it. Um, when you, I've just been that way for so long. I don't know how, but when I walk through life, I try to do it from a standpoint of curiosity rather than judging. So like when you see somebody doing something bad, I try to think, why are they acting that way? Like, what's causing them to feel this? Like, what are they struggling with to make them be so outwardly rude instead of, oh, what a jerk, because that just is it's a dead end. You made your decision about what this person is, and you'll never know. So like from a standpoint of compassion and curiosity, it's like, why are they acting this way? Maybe I can help them. It's like, it's just my nature, I guess. And I do tell my kids, I'm like, one day they were telling me they learned about Martin Luther King, and we were talking about all the work of Dr. King and what an amazing human being he was. And my daughter said, he changed the world. She was pretty young when we were having this conversation. And I remember I quickly shot and I was like, you can change the world. She's like, how? I was like, it's simple. I go, when you look at somebody, you make eye contact. I said, just smile at them. She goes, how's that going to change the world? I said, that person might be having a bad day. And you might smile at them. They might not smile back. They might even make a face at you or look away. I go, but that smile is going to have some effect on that person. It might turn their whole day around. And the next thing you know, they're going to smile at somebody else or react a different way to someone else they interact with. And that effect of that one simple smile can go out through the whole day and make the whole world just a little bit better. Yeah. And it just came out of my brain like out of nowhere. It was amazing. And I was so proud of myself for saying it. But that's just kind of genuinely how I live my life. Like I do things for people, and almost to a fault. Like I honestly, like being nice and trying to be compassionate to people has put me in situations that have put me in financial distress. They put me in legal trouble. Like I'm trying to get a little better about it. I just can't help myself. When I see someone that is in need and I can help them, I want to. It's just, I crave it. And almost selfishly, like I've even asked myself before, am I being selfish for doing this because I get enjoyment from it? So is this like a paradox? I don't know. I feel like if everybody kind of like thought that way, like be curious instead of judgmental and just leave the place, everyone and everything a little better than you found them, the whole world would be great, but it's just not that way.
Yeah. It reminds me a bit of the parable of the boy and the starfish. Have you heard that one?
Mm-mm.
So the story goes that there's a little boy who's walking on the seashore, and it's right after a storm, and the storm is washed up. There's thousands of these starfish all along the shore. And this little boy is walking along, and he picks up a starfish and he throws it in the water. And his dad is standing there and says, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Look, can't you see there's thousands of these starfish? You'll never be able to pick them all up. What difference does it make? And little boy picks up one more and throws it in and says, it made a difference to that one.
Yeah.
I think, it really, there's this expectation that we have all this. I think all of us, we place it on ourselves to fix all the problems for everybody, right? And there's so much going on, especially in the world right now with politics and divisiveness and everything is, we feel like we're at each other more than ever. And, we kind of place this expectation that we have to, take on the weight of the world ourselves and to solve all these problems. But if we just show up and, like you told your daughter there, you smile to that one person. Hey, maybe it's not going to solve all the world's problems.
Right.
But could it make a difference to that one person? Right? That little bit that you can do, I think makes a tremendous impact. And we'll never know the ripple effect that has. But, to your point, I think it is a little selfish, not in a negative way.
Right.
I've
had that discussion with so many people too about the paradox of that. And we always come up with, it's okay.
Yeah, it is, because I think it has a lot to do with the intentionality behind it. Right? Are you doing it solely for your own benefit? Are you out there promoting it to say, hey, look how good I am? Are you going and posting pictures on social media to say, hey, look how good I am?
Yeah.
Or are you doing it because it genuinely helps other people, and as a side effect, it also makes you feel good? And it's an interesting spot to be in, because if we don't share these stories on some level, people might not know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you want people to understand, you want people to see and to hear and to make it normal, but we don't want to do it to self-promote. We don't want to say, hey, look how good I am.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like those like videos you'll see on social media where like someone's doing some random act of kindness. It's like if it was a random act of kindness, you wouldn't have a camera set up. I mean, I get it. Those stories, like they always make me feel kind of good, and once in a while it'll be a little tear jerky, but I think what you like how you said it is best. It's like if you're solely doing it, if the only thing you're getting in return is just feeling good about doing something good, then it's for the right reasons. But if you're doing it
Yeah.
for seeking anything else, like reciprocity or gratitude, even seeking gratitude, it's for the wrong reason. It just has to be how you do it, and it makes things a lot easier for me, man. Like I was always like when I was young, I was very angry, and I didn't like I grew up in a neighborhood where there wasn't any kids, and I went to a Catholic school where none of the kids who went to the school lived anywhere near me. So like, and I didn't have any siblings until my stepbrother moved in when I was like I think 11. So for like the first basically 10 years of my life, I didn't have any friends. I didn't know how to interact. So like it's been fun watching my kids grow up and all their little friends and the things they do. It makes me feel really happy. But it made it hard for me when I was like navigating hormones in high school. I had a really hard time. I made a lot of bad choices, a lot of things I regret. I think it made it that much more important to me to like learn how to be someone that people want to be around, or just to be a good person in general. And I think that's kind of like the product of it. It's like to truly, I mean, I'm trying to think how to word this, but it's like when you really like to really enjoy or appreciate something great, you have to have had none of it before because you wanted it bad enough. But if you just have it all the time, it's something you don't really pay much attention to.
Yeah. There's two quotes that reminds me of. One is, you don't want to strive to be you don't want to strive to be well known. You want to strive to be worth knowing. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about there, right? It's not, you don't want to be this person that everyone knows because you're Jason Knapp. You want to be worth knowing, right? There has to be some depth to your character, not just social media metrics for, hey, you've got a bunch of followers, but hey, why are they following you? Because you're a good person in the first place. And I think the other one, I'm drawing a blank on the other one. I lost that train of thought, but I really think it has a lot to do with the intentionality behind these acts. And for us to be able to go out there and do this sort of thing simply because it's the right thing to do is difficult, right? Especially when we don't necessarily have an example of what that looks like when we're growing up.
Yeah.
And, whether that's through no fault of your own, the example that your dad gave to you or your mom gave to you, because, for me, I talk about this a lot. I don't fault my dad for the example he gave to me. He did the very best he could with what his dad gave to him.
Yeah.
For me, ultimately, I needed a little bit something different. And now I'm taking that, I'm refining it and giving it to my son. And, I think it's a beautiful thing, but we can't say, be mad about it. We have to appreciate that journey. And I think I remember the other one. It's having gone on a journey only to return back to where you started is not the same as having never left.
Yeah, I dig that.
Right? So you talk about going out into the world and experiencing all this stuff and these hardships and learning these lessons. And yeah, we might get, kicked in the butt a couple times, and we might have these rough days, whatever the situation is, but we learn a lot about who we are along that way, and we get back to where we started from. Now we could be a better version of ourselves to share with other people and to really just be our more authentic and more increased self. Mm-hmm. I think that has a lot to do with what you're talking about there, and going out and going on these journeys. Even if you wound up back where you started from, you never really do. And my last quote, I don't know why
I like quotes, right?
But you'll never find the same person twice, even in the same person.
I believe it. Yeah.
Right. So I think it all goes back to tie into the same really thought here. Is it's all about the journey of going out there and trying things and failing and experimenting and seeing what works, what doesn't, and really just uncovering who you are and that next level of yourself. And again, it's something I think I've seen you do a number of times in the short time that I've known you, is continuing to go out there in pursuit of doing the right thing. And yeah, you're going to get your butt kicked every once in a while, but it doesn't stop you from leveling up and doing it again.
Yeah.
I think that's it's admirable.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed the opportunities that have been, I mean, I've been blessed with some cool opportunities, and I'm willing to take the risk. I think that's one of the we were having this conversation the other day. I guess this is like maybe a cool segue. Is that we were talking about so in my office right now, this guy Paul, he works next in the office. He's in the office next door. He's worked for me since for about 4 or 5 years now. I've known him. We've built a really good relationship. We're really good friends. He's a lot younger than me, which is interesting because it's a cool dynamic because he's 22 or 23 years old. I'm 45. We have a really good relationship. We talk about a lot of stuff, and I'm very grateful to have him as a friend. So he's over there, and then occasionally one of his friends that I met that's in his band, he works out of here making calls for his insurance job that he's working. And he was asking me one day, he's like, these guys, like some of their friends, they kind of look up to me because they're like, Jason, he's this business guy and he's got it all figured out. And like, I don't have it all figured out, bro. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But they're asking me for some advice. And like, what does it take to be a businessman? And I thought long and hard about it. Like, I think I even actually like went and had lunch and like thought a little more like, what's the best easy way to answer this? Because there's so many elements to it. But like at its core, I think it's like, you got to be good at sales, which is just kind of a human trait. It's like sales in and of itself is really just talking to people and getting their attention, telling them what they want to hear. 2 is building relationships and maintaining them. So the ability to like make friends with somebody and make them want to remain your friend and maintain a good working relationship with them. And then the third thing is the ability to manage risk and handle risk. Because I meet so many people where I'm like, why don't you just try this and give them an opportunity to like quit their job, start a business, and potentially be way better off than they are. And like you see their body language and the look on their face when you suggest it, and it's like you suggested they go chop their arm off or something. Like they're terrified. And it's like not everybody has this. Like not everyone has the whatever it is in you that to just go and risk. I mean, you say everything that. I mean, it's not everything. Like we talked about, anything that's real can't be taken from you, but risk everything you've built to try to go and make it better. And I think that's really like a real key part of what an entrepreneur is like being able to handle like risk and stress. Cause it's rough out there, man. I can't tell you how many times I've like stayed up late at night, not able to sleep and like asking my phone the stupidest questions about like, bankruptcy or lawsuits or what's going to happen, are they going to take my kidneys, like but then other days too where like you can't sleep because you're so excited about like some big project that's starting the next day or a big contract you just landed or a meeting or a podcast. It's like like if you have a job, your wavelength is like here, like your highs and your lows of day-to-day life. When you're an entrepreneur, it's like a Cedar Point roller coaster over and over again. Your highs are so high and your lows are so low, and they would crush most people.
Yeah.
And that. I mean,
yeah. I think the interesting part there too to consider looking backwards on it is it didn't start out that extreme. It felt that extreme in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? But as we continued to go through that journey, we've become more adept at handling those highs and those lows. Like I remember the first time someone said, "Hey, I'm going to sue you," or I got sued, it was like the end of the world.
Yep.
But now it's like, after doing this for darn near 30 years, like you're like, all right, cool. Just send in the paperwork.
Yeah. Here's my lawyer's number. You can just have him handle this nonsense. I know what you mean.
I think it's the same thing that, we talk about in that character's development process. You want to be a successful entrepreneur. I think it's also important to really relate the part of being comfortable with who you are and not worrying about the opinions of other people.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of the difference between reputation and character.
Good call.
Like you can never control your reputation. People are going to always have an opinion about you no matter what you do. Even if your intentions are good, there's going to be someone with this made up version of you in their head.
Yeah.
They'll believe whatever they want to believe.
And the better you do, the farther reaching they will go on those things too. I've seen that big time. Yeah. I've had I've watched, it was kind of interesting watching my circle of friends change from like, when I, just so the viewers of the show, just a little funny story background, like I worked at a sandpaper factory for 11 years in this, like, it wasn't awful. I mean, I worked my way up. I had a pretty cushy job there. I got paid decent. And my wife was pregnant with our first kid. And I was training to do this like side job as an insurance adjuster to make a little extra money, have a little, moonlight side rip. And when I was researching it, and it was like, okay, well, when your significant other has a child, you can take 16 weeks off of work, and your job is federally protected through the Family Medical Leave Act. They cannot fire you. They don't necessarily have to pay you, but they cannot fire you. So I said, all right, so I got 16 weeks from when this kid is born to figure out if I can make this a living, because I don't want to work 12-hour shifts on a midnight job in a factory in the hood while my kids are growing up. So the day my wife went into labor, I punched out and left, and I never came back. And that first year was absolutely terrifying. But like from that time to, fast forward through like the keyboard business and the things that happened, like I found I had a couple years of some really, big success, and I was doing some pretty cool things. I'm like hanging out with celebrities and flying on private jets and staying in really nice Airbnbs and like living I wasn't like, my lifestyle wasn't lavish every minute of the day. I wasn't like drinking Dom Perignon for breakfast, but I was doing some cool stuff that I never in my life dreamed I would ever be able to do.
Yeah.
And I watched my circle of friends change. Like, oh man, Jason, he's changed. I haven't changed. The only thing that changed is like I drive a nicer car and I live in a bigger house. I'm still Jason. If anything, I'm better now because like I've got more time to think about how to be a decent human being. And then the haters, of course, like, oh man, he's I could go find you a group of people that could tell you all kinds of stories about what a piece of trash I am. And I mean, I've analyzed those things because it hits hard when like someone's threatening your reputation or questioning your reputation. My wife's been struggling with this a bit lately too in her business. You get really upset because it's like, that's not how I am. I'm a good person. But you're viewing me that way because, I mean, I think people, human beings in general, if they want to believe something happened a certain way, bad enough, so that they can relieve some of their own guilt, that will become truth in their mind, regardless of the facts. So like you said, like there's always going to be people out there that do that. And the bigger my success got, the worse I saw that happen. I watched one of my really good friends who helped me get the business like from here to here, like in a blink of an eye, turn on me. And the next thing I know, we're like caught up in a lawsuit. And it was hard on me, man. Like at first it was like feelings of betrayal. Like, why would you do this to me? Like, why am I the victim here? And like all these horrible emotions. And then after the dust settled and the legal stuff was over with, I found myself still like in a state of melancholy about it. And I'm trying to like really put my finger on what this emotion is. And I have a good friend, his name's Seth Weiner. Shout out to Seth. He's my boy. I love this guy. He changed my life. He told me, he's like, Jason, what you're feeling is grief. And it took a long time to kind of figure that out. I was like, he's right. It's like I lost my good friend to something that like I didn't really have any control over. There's no way I could stop it from happening or undo it. And now they're gone. They're not a part of my life anymore. And it's funny, like that was the thing that at the end of the day that upset me the most. It wasn't that someone was trying to take from me or mess with my name. It was that I lost somebody that I cared about as a friend.
Yeah.
It's weird being in business, man.
It is. It is. It's I actually read a quote yesterday that says, "Grief is love that doesn't know where to go."
Ooh.
I think, when you're someone who has a heart for serving people and for helping people, especially when your intentions are good, that can hit really hard. Like, you want to have these conversations to be like, hey, I know you're mad at me for whatever the story that you believe about me is.
Yeah.
In your heart, it's not true, and hey, your intentions were good. But ultimately, like, what winds up happening, and I still catch myself going through this sometimes, is you wind up spending so much time trying to defend yourself or even just processing this by yourself, thinking about, why does this person do that? Or why does this, do that? And you're really robbing yourself of the opportunity to share your gift to other people with that same time.
Yeah.
Right? Like you get, you don't even get, you're not guaranteed the 24 hours in front of you, right? But let's say you have those 24 hours and you decide to spend 8 of them worried about what this person thinks about you, or you could spend 10 minutes to think about it, process the emotion, then move on.
Yeah.
Use the next 7 hours to be like, all right, cool, I'm going to now use the gift that I have to go positively impact these other 6 people.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to just close the feedback loop faster and faster and keep it moving because it's never going to go away.
I've gotten really good at that. Like since a lot of these things, like it seems like when you deal with big things like that, it makes the little things easier. And
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact quote, but it was like, if you whip out your calculator and do the math, like how many seconds are in a day? It's like 24,000 or 30,000. I don't know. Whatever. It's called 30,000. I know it's not right. I can't do that math this fast. Okay. So if you have $30,000 and someone steals $5 from you, are you going to give them more, or are you going to move on?
Right.
And then like, some people like, well, I'm going to kick their ass to get my $5 back. Okay, whatever. I tried to put into words for my daughter one day. I was trying to explain to her because she's still like, she's young enough where if you offer her perspective and insight on how to view things when they happen, it gives her the tools to kind of process and maybe manage it better than if she doesn't. And she was upset about something that happened at school, and she came home and she was still upset about it to the point where she was being rude to me and her brother and her mom about this thing that happened. And I told her, I go, Fiona, I'm like, what happened? She told me, and it was like something that happened over like maybe it lasted a minute. And I try to put it into words to her to explain to her like that. Like I did do the math. I said, hey, there's this many seconds. Like if you had this many dollars and someone stole, 30 cents from you, are you going to give them another $15? Or are you just going to count your losses and move on? She's like, I'm going to count my losses and move on. I said, okay, well, someone took 30 seconds of your happiness. You're going to give them 8 more hours of your happiness? You're going to just move on from it. It's not worth it. And I think she got it. She's still struggling a little bit because like she's getting like preteen hormonal stage, which holy moly, dude, I don't remember how old your kids are, but I think they're approaching that age too, aren't they? Your daughter?
Not yet. We got some
No?
time for that, thankfully.
Man, if you thought staying up, like anyone who has kids, like, okay, it's the middle of the night, they're screaming, you're rocking them, you're giving them a baby, you're burping them, you just want to go back to sleep. You think like it can't get any worse. And you think to yourself, oh man, this will be so much easier when they're able to like be self-sufficient. Sure it is. You get more sleep, but then like there's this sweet spot between like 7 and 10 where like they are awesome. Like enjoy every single second of that where you're like you're their hero. They want to have fun. They're innocent. They haven't been like their minds haven't been polluted with all the worldviews of all the nonsense, and they're great, full energy. But then hormones come, and then things start happening to them at school, and like your hands are tired. You don't know what to tell them. You don't know how to help them navigate it. There's nothing you can do to fix it, and it drives you mad. And it's like I would rather be up in the middle of the night changing a diaper than feeling some of the emotions that I've been feeling lately with my kids being, getting in
Yeah.
middle school.
Well, it's different, right?
It is.
I don't know if one is easier than the other because obviously, like we said, it's that same character development in the moment.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult, frustrating, stressful thing in the world to you. But as you continue to grow and develop, it just becomes different.
Yeah.
And I think you actually just touched on something that I want to segue into, and this
Sure.
might be a weird segue, but let's roll with it. The introduction of hormones causes, like, as an adult, as a parent, you can really witness the difference in your child's development, their mood, everything about them as their hormones start to come in and play a bigger and bigger role.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Oh,
Okay.
massively.
So where I'm going with this is to kind of tap into some of your wellness expertise for the person listening to this who may not necessarily consider that still actually happens as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
We just somehow ignore it. Like there are adults walking around right now who are living in this stressful world. Their own brain becomes a prison
Mm-hmm.
because of how their body is processing these hormones. And it is something that they could actually do something about, right? Like,
Massively.
we move into this conversation a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, men and women both. I think from everything that I understand about treating people's hormones, once you get past like your mid-20s, your testosterone levels start to decline in both men and women. And testosterone plays a critical role of not only your metabolic function and a lot of like the physical functions of your body, but also in your mental. For both men and women. A lot of people always just associate testosterone with men and estrogen with women. Men and women have both of those hormones. They're in a different balance in each men and women, but testosterone plays like a really crucial role in the way you manage anger, the way you your confidence levels, your motivational levels, and things like that. And I wasn't alive, 50, 60 years ago to know how people acted back then. I'm thinking that something has to do with the way we eat nowadays, because the American diet, I mean, like it's laughable at this point. It's like it's so bad what we consider to be real food that I mean, we make memes about it, and it's like you got to work extra hard to eat just normal food.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think a lot has to do with the diet that people eat, with all the eating way too many grains, way too much flour, bread, things like that, and it causes these hormonal imbalances in them. And I think it's a theory of mine. I think it's causing people's hormones to their testosterone levels to decline earlier in life than they would on a normal timeline. So what can happen is, like I've seen guys in their 20s, they're telling me they have these symptoms that sound like low testosterone. I'm not kidding you. A 23-year-old guy recently, I won't say his name or anything like that, of course, but he's telling me he's got all these symptoms of low testosterone. I'm thinking, do you have an injury? Like, because this doesn't make any sense. We pull his blood work, and sure enough, his testosterone was like, it was sub 300, where someone in their 20s, they should be 700, 800. It was incredibly low. And when your testosterone levels get that low, you lose motivation, you lose confidence. Your body will produce cortisol more readily. So like the fear and the insecurity of like taking risks or doing things is stronger. So I mean, a simple change to your lifestyle, like, if you're over 30 years old, I think everyone should get their blood work done, look at those levels and see where you're at. And a lot of times if the testosterone's low, it's a really simple fix. I mean, we run plans right now. We've got it to the point where we can do testosterone therapy for men and women at $99 a month with no upfront costs, and it covers like your medical fee, your blood work, all your meds, everything. So at a very nominal cost, dialing in your hormones, restore your metabolic rate, so you carry less fat, you develop muscle faster, get your libido back in check. So if like you're never in the mood, which could be a huge problem in a relationship on either side of it, that gets fixed very quickly. And then the big part of it, at least for me, I think the best selling point is the confidence. It really restores your confidence. You feel better, you look better, and now everything just works better because you're not feeling depressed. Like, what was that donkey that hung out with Winnie the Pooh?
Eeyore.
Yeah, you're like, people are walking around like Eeyore, like, okay, it's like, just go get your blood work done, check it out, see what's going on. That and your diet. Like, everybody, please don't eat the stuff. Don't eat anything that comes out of a box. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it.
No, I mean, it's great advice, and I think the simplest recommendation I can make to anyone would be just go get your blood work checked. Like, it may be nothing, or you might find, hey, this is really high, this is really low, or it might be something unrelated to hormones at all that you happen to catch super early. Like, going to just find out, hey, what's going on inside my body. If we talk about, hey, how do you get your mind right? How do you get your heart right? How do you, a big part of that is understanding what's happening on the inside.
Absolutely.
So doing that routine blood work, I am a huge advocate for, and my life has 100% gotten better since doing it. I literally have my testosterone here. I took my shot this morning.
I forgot mine. I'm bummed.
It's such an important part of being an optimal person, is looking at all these different things and figuring out, hey, how can I get better? And just understanding the facts of, hey, it doesn't have to be this scary thing where, you're going to start, I think there's this perception that if you go and start doing that, A, it has to be really painful, or B, it has to become a thing where you start to become this steroid-induced bodybuilder who's got muscles growing out of their ears.
Yeah,
like, it's
acne
not that
and roid rage. Yeah, it's not that
really
at all.
It's about being your optimal self, like optimizing who you are as a person. I think has to be this really well-rounded, simple methodology, and I think that's something like this entire conversation revolves around. Just figuring out how to keep leveling yourself up in these really easy ways to just be a better, happier, more joyful, more grateful person. Like, why would you not take advantage of any possible method you could?
Oh yeah.
Do that, especially when they're so simple and like approachable at this point.
I can give you a link too if you want, for your viewers or your friends. So what I do right now with the business, the way I'm handling it, is kind of like a white glove concierge service to just try to I really want to try to start understanding people in a bigger, broader sense, So the more people I talk to, the more data I have, and the better I can pinpoint and focus, what should I prepare to make things easy for people, to give them the most bang for their buck with changes in their lifestyle to make themselves feel and look better. So what I do, I have a link you can click. I give anybody that wants a 30-minute consultation, it's free. So You can book it through my link. We just collect a little bit of your personal information so that I'm teed up to understand who I'm talking to before the phone call starts. But on that call, like if you've got blood work, if you have health insurance and you do your annual physical, a lab is totally standard. So without any cost to you, if you just go do your annual physical or you still have your blood work from a recent one, we can look at that as a baseline. And I'm happy to walk anybody through it. Like, hey, these are some things we can look at for improvement. And just knowing like your age, your height, and your weight and your sex, I can get a good idea of like most of the time I can kind of feel out like know what your lifestyle is. And if you tell me that like, yeah, hey, I'm exercising and I'm not seeing results. Hey, I eat this way and I'm not seeing results. We can start like digging in a little deeper and see what small adjustments we can make so that the hard work you're putting in or the sacrifices you're making start to make a bigger positive impact on you instead of just being wasted.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. So definitely share that link with me. I'll make sure we put it in the show notes and share it out.
Absolutely.
And again, I would 100% advocate at least just taking the test to find out.
Oh, yeah.
Just see
the funnest thing about doing this job is that, at first to start off, it was a lot of people wanted to work with me for medical weight loss because semaglutide, Ozempic was like it's a pretty big fad. It's a really big part of today's pop culture. We do offer services for those types of things. And I see some really good results with people, but the thing where I really enjoy is when I talk to people about we talk about testosterone and we get them lined up. Every single person, I'm not kidding, every one that I've talked to that we put them into the system, they get through the system, they get treated. Within a month, I usually get a text message like, my God, my life is so great now. Thank you so much. Like, just like, it almost feels like someone's giving you a hug because you can just see in the words they're sending you to thank you for helping them. It's like, I'm just doing my job, but like the money's one thing, but that is like the real currency of what makes me want to do it, is just knowing that I can kind of like alleviate the fears and the mystery around this type of medical treatment to make people comfortable and make it accessible, which is kind of like a theme in my life, I think, so that they can access it and use it to improve themselves. Because when I started doing it, I think I started doing testosterone therapy 2019, and it made such a massive impact on my life. Like everything in my life went up from there.
Yeah, I love that. And I would agree, it is definitely a theme for you is caring about other people and the accessibility. And I think, even just to go back to what we talked about before with like the story of the starfish,
yeah,
and the story you told your daughter, like to that one person, you've created a dramatic change in their life where now they can go out and have a positive impact on their family, themselves, their community, and that comes from just having these conversations and taking care of that one person right in front of you. So again, I want to honor you for this conversation and for taking the time to be here and just share openly about your life, the ups and downs, that roller coaster ride.
Oh yeah,
And
still on it, man. I'm buckled in. I don't think I'm ever getting off this thing. I think I'm screwed.
Yeah, amen. Well, I'm appreciative to share a seat with you right alongside you in that process. It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. Because I know there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, but like if this journey has taught us anything, is that the highs will replace the lows and then some.
Yeah.
So like it's that continual process of understanding, like, yeah, there's going to be a low, but the feedback loop gets shorter where you realize, all right, cool, now this is how I process through it. And I think again, just to give you some honor here, having people alongside you for the ride who are like-minded, who are willing to be open-handed with their knowledge and their time, their experience, makes that process so much easier. So
absolutely,
again, just huge honor to you, and thank you so much for being here.
Hey, you know what though too, at the same time, not to drag it out too long, be grateful for the lows, because if you don't have the lows, the highs aren't as cool,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, man. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous, but this is cool. I mean, I'm never nervous to talk to you. I'm maybe a little nervous about talking to you for other people to watch it, so I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm sure they will.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks, man. It's been fun.
Hey, before we go, can I pray for you real quick? Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for Jason and for giving him the time and capacity to spend this time together with us. I want to thank you for the life you've given to the listener of this podcast right now, and for giving them the breath in their lungs and the hope in their heart today to show up and sit here and listen to this conversation. And I ask that you provide some deeper impact for this conversation, so that our listener right now can put some meaning to this moment and make this the moment that they continue to pursue the passions of their life, not just sit and live a life of 30, 40, 50 years on repeat, but pursue the passion that lights them up, the calling that you've placed on their heart, and give them the courage to chase down that vision, that dream, that calling, so that they can feel that true fulfillment, and that they have, again, the hope in their heart when they're sitting in that low on the roller coaster, to understand that the high is coming and the high is higher than the lowest of lows, and that you've got a plan for them in their life. And that if they are sitting right now in a moment where they feel frustrated, where they feel scared, where they feel doubt, where they feel fear, I ask you to replace those feelings with hope, with this trust and with this faith that everything will work out for their good. And we ask all these things in your name. Amen. Love you.